you. Yeah.
No one can take the place if you take the place of
Nah.
From the blessings that you give, to your sacrifice I live. My God is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy MLiK. Here with two great friends of mine, Mr. and Mrs. Troy and Shenee Edwards. Decided to sit down with them today, pick their brains, and ask them some questions. You know what I'm saying? They are a powerhouse couple. You know what I'm saying? People talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce, but in the kingdom we have kingdom connections, kingdom couples, powerhouse couples. Everyone, I would like you to meet Troy and Shenee Edwards.
What's going
How
on?
y'all doing today?
Pretty good.
That's great. Just real quick before we get into the deep questions, just go ahead and just introduce yourselves and let them know who you are, whose you are, what it is that you do.
Well, I'm Shenee Edwards. I am the president of 3HP Records and Nation, and also the CEO of 3HP PR Services. I'm a wife, a mother, I love the Lord, I'm a daughter. I have so many hats, it's not even funny. And I'm married to this wonderful man sitting next to me who's going to introduce himself now.
I'm Troy Edwards, 3HP Ministries, Mr. Indie Mogul, everything in the gospel industry. We do, in business, we do. So that's basically it.
Okay. For those who, a lot of people have heard 3HP. I mean, my mother one day called me and was like, what is this 3HP? I keep getting in my email. What is 3HP?
3HP is basically 3 hours of power. It actually started out as a radio show, and then as the radio show progressed, it was going on and on more. A lot of the people, I started helping a lot of artists, so a lot of the artists would say, you know what, you need to start your own label to be able to help people, because we do one interview and that's it with the people. But we do one interview with you, you're getting us other interviews, getting us radio play on other stations. So so it kind of tagline with 3HP. It actually started out with me, with DJ Sean Rebel, IQ, Trey Banks from Wise Productions, and my cousin Mike Braxton, which is Tony Braxton's brother. So that's what 3HP actually started.
Okay. So it started from a radio show and progressed into a label and more so now a movement as well. Mm-hmm. Now, what would you, to help people understand more so of who you are? I mean, I've heard, other people probably heard you've been called the Mr. Indie Mogul. How are you, why would you call yourself that? Why would you use that name? I mean, what background in music outside of the 3HP radio show do you have?
Well, basically, Mr. Industry, Mr. Indie Mogul, basically, the name and the tagline was given to me by Tanya Dallas Lewis, because she's seen everything that I'm doing in the industry. So what the gospel industry lack is empires in gospel music. And then I said we needed to build off of making our own empires with marketing, promotions, everything under one branch. With the name 3HP, we need to make mogul moves. Other with P. Diddy and Jay-Z and all of them doing other things, I think the gospel industry needs to do the same thing. We need empires. When you build empires, you become a voice. And once you have a voice, people care what you say.
Okay. As the first lady of 3HP, how do you find it, how do you balance the Shenee, I'm the mother and wife of Mr. Indie Mogul, and Shenee, I'm the business partner of Mr. Indie Mogul?
Well, at first it was a little hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It takes a lot of work. One, to be able to figure out how you're playing a role as the wife and the business partner, and be able to relate to each other in different, with different hats as they come along. We get along pretty well, especially when it comes during business part of it, and then it's just a matter of trying to separate. I wouldn't say balance, but a matter of separating the two at times. Because sometimes you know, being a wife also brings in being the mommy too, and being able to incorporate family time and going out, taking time out just to be able to breathe and, as everybody says, smell the roses. As the business partner, you know, just sticking by his side if he has something that needs to be done, making sure it's implemented. You know, pulling my ideas, his ideas together to one big idea. So it's a matter of, like I said, just bridging the gap is more like trying to balance your time as into, you know, when do I need to be the wife and when do I need to be the business partner. And so far now we've got it down packed. It took a little bit of time in the beginning, but we got it down packed now.
Okay, in addition to that, just to clear the air for people out there, what is your background in what you do with your 3HP, with your marketing, your promotions and things of that nature, that makes you viable to do what you do as opposed to just, I'm his wife so I can do that?
I started off very young in music, as far as music is concerned. I played the piano for my church. I used to be on the praise team. I wrote a play when I was about 18 years old that my whole church performed. And even when I went to, like, you know, School of the Arts, you know, to learn more. And as I got older, people started seeing my different gifts. But at the same time, a lot of times I would put myself on the back burner, because if I saw somebody else, you know, that had some talent, I would sit there and say, hey, check out this person. I became more like a promoter. So people started contacting me and saying, hey, you know, I have this artist. You think you want to? First, people wanted me to manage them. I had no idea how to manage anybody. So that was my first thing. Like, you know, can you manage me? I see, you know, you're doing this, and for some reason, it was more a favor. Like, I would ask somebody, hey, can you put this person on a radio show? They didn't know me from Adam. They would just say, oh yeah, I see you doing events and stuff, and bam, they would let them. So my background more came from favor.
Okay.
The favor of God.
Favor of God.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Indie Mogul, with the diverse artists that you've worked with, do you believe that the gospel music can compete with the secular?
Years ago, I didn't think so, but now I think it's getting there. It's getting better. The quality music, productions, graphics, and everything. Because when I started out, people still doing magic marker on a CD. People was just doing a photo bucket, using it as their CD. So what I always do is, as Christians, you see the secular world and you see the Christian world, and we were one supposed to work in excellence at all times. So to be at a place, I always tell people, look at the secular world doing. If we're working in excellence, look at the covers. Look the way they carry themselves. When they come to a place, they come into a room, you can tell that they are artists. They're always being an artist at the time when they're out, and that's who they are. And that's one thing I try to tell the artists, be who you are. If you are some type of neo artist, be a rapper or any kind of artist, look apart. When you walk into a room, you should stand out. Especially if you have a ministry and God has that light on you. That spotlight should be on you everywhere you go. And if you want to compete with the secular world, we have to look just as good or better. And working of excellence and music being of excellence with production and everything, we should be able to come with it too, because we have so much talented people in the industry, and we need to utilize their services. Everything ain't, because we Christians, everything ain't for free. People are called to do ministry full time, and in full time don't mean you do all this work for somebody for free. And if you feel like you should be blessing other people's ministry, you should be sowing into people's ministry. You see people doing great things, you should. Just like even with the in charities. A lot of the secular people, we did stuff in the Christmas time. A lot of the secular people, Christmas time, they give back. And I don't see the same thing of Christians when we're supposed to be the examples of giving and giving back. We do a little bit of things and that's it. And most of the people in the city that's doing great works, a lot of them are in the secular folks. And I think we as Christians and going to church, learning about the Lord and learning about the gift, we know about the Lord. And we know what God called us to do. So I think we should be much better than what the world is doing.
Okay. Shenee, but with what he just said, do you feel from the promotions aspect that Christian artists have stepped with what they do? Or do you feel that, how do you feel about the Christian artists as compared to the secular? A lot of times, and the reason I'm asking this, we get compared, as Christian artists, we get compared to the secular all the time. We a lot of times the church calls us the alternative to, even though we're not. They are the alternative to us because we just started in heaven. So how do you feel about the way that Christian artists are now pushing themselves and have their perception in the world?
I think the negative part of it, as far as perception, is that, like me as a promoter, or if I'm pushing on social media, they don't push themselves. They don't believe in themselves. That, to me, I feel as though you don't believe in yourself enough to push you. Yeah, I may be pushing you, Troy may be pushing you, Sally may be pushing you, but if you're not pushing yourself, then people are going to look like, okay, they don't even believe in what they're doing. They don't believe in their own ministry. And sometimes it's frustrating because you see this person that has all this potential, have all this talent, have the gift, and you're pushing them to this market, pushing them that market, trying to get them on interviews and stuff, and they're just sitting back and you know tell them, hey, at least post. You can even post a picture of yourself and do something, and they won't do that. But then they'll tell you, oh, I'm never on Facebook, but they're having conversations all day long, back and forth with people, instead of knowing they have an album or something coming out in 2 weeks. So I think when it comes to Christian artists and secular, from what I've experienced, because I've also I didn't mention before, I did have a background promoting for, you know, the secular, like clubs and things like that. The grind is harder. And it's sad because we're supposed to be promoting the good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ, through music and books and things like that. And the secular world, you know, even though everything everything secular isn't, you know, bad, some, you know, to speak about love and things like that, but they really work hard and believe in themselves. And lately, even me and Troy been watching more of you know, shows like Unsung and things, and to see how the artists then, you know, they really believed in what they wanted to do, and now, you know, they became, you know, big and successful. Why, as we as Christians, when God said we're the head and not the tail, we're not taking that same, you know, that same approach when it comes to our gift?
The Bible says that many are called, but few are chosen. Do you all feel at times that artists are not called, chosen, but more so they heard a calling from somewhere else and believe?
I totally believe that when artists, even pastors. I don't believe all pastors need to go to seminary school, because some people are chosen. Some people want to be pastors. And just like artists, not artists want to be, they're called to be an artist, but God called them to music, not to be, some of them not to be an artist. They feel that, okay, God has pulled them in this direction. They're already picking what God called them to do. A lot of people need to know their strengths and their weaknesses, and to better themselves. And some people are not. That's why certain artists don't get certain ways, because God may call you to be in this place, and you're heading for that place. So I think a lot of people need to really see what God called them to do, not be looking at what the secular world doing and trying to mimic and try to be like them. There's too many people mimicking. I can look at a lot of artists and say, oh, this person wants to be John Legend. Oh, I even see Christian artists. Oh, he wants to be Ty Tribbett. Okay, because I can pick that out. And then I've been in shows and I proved my point to her. I said, watch, when I go to this person, I'm gonna ask him who the person they listen to, who they like. It might be Ty Tribbett. I said, this guy listens to Dietrich Haddon, because their music sounds just like him. God meant you to be you, not to be like the other person. Then they do write music, mimic, get on stage and do that person, and that's not what God. Everyone has their own identity. I mean, you might have that feel and do that type of music, and it's okay, because if you like a Jill Scott or India Ari or Lisa McClendon, you don't have to sound like them. If God called you to be a neo soul, you have your own identity. Build your own identity, because India Ari has her own identity. Jill Scott has her own identity. Lisa McClendon has her own identity. And there's enough room for everybody. especially in the music industry, and we have to come together. There's too much division, and God meant us to be together, and that's how the devil works. A lot of division, and a lot of people, when they see good things happen to a fellow artist, they'll hate on that artist because of all the achievements that they're getting, and they're doing all the right things. Too many of artists want shortcuts, and God didn't meant for us to have shortcuts. God called us to be in one place and where He tells us how to move, but we try to move ahead of God. So that's the one thing that we're lacking in this gospel industry.
Okay. Now, how did you all come about meeting?
We met on internet. Back in the day, there was a Christian website that had for people to meet, but nobody knew about it. Nah, but we actually met. We actually was working together, and when I was a co-owner of COO of Urban Gospel Alliance, and I ran into her and saw the great things she was doing in the Baltimore area when I was in Atlanta. So we met like that, and then when I came back to I believe when I came back to the Baltimore area, we linked up and all that kind of stuff. Because back in the day, she couldn't stand me.
I couldn't stand him.
She didn't like me,
I didn't like him
not
at all.
one bit.
And I was very expressive. Like when he first came to my house to see my mom and dad and meet the family, first thing my sister said was, "I thought you didn't like him. You couldn't stand him." She remembered from a few years back how like I couldn't stand him because when you first meet Troy, I thought he was, you know, because all the stuff he did, I thought he was very arrogant. I couldn't stand an arrogant man and all this stuff. But once I got to know him, I'm like, oh, he's just a nice teddy bear.
And I think the perception a lot of people get, I moved. My ministry ain't the same. I progressed. I left the Baltimore area and was gone for 7 years. Got a lot of achievements, but when I came back, a lot of these people and artists was in the same place they was when I left 7 years ago. And God has moved me to another place. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that. I'm not the same Troy. God has lifted me to the masses to use me as a vessel to open up doors for others. Because it's not just my work of God, but God opens up the doors for me to help other people. And I think a lot of people just didn't understand that because C-listers don't hang with A-listers. A-listers hang with A-listers. And as a body of Christ, and my A-listers in the body of Christ is no foolishness. People that's serious about God, doing God's work, and making impact.
So when did you know that she was the one?
Took some time. She was nice. Then I found out she was crazy. And it took a while. And I think the Lord showed us, the simple fact is, what all women should do when you're with someone and you're about to marry them. It's a support system. Supporting your man and what he does. Being involved in what he does. Time and time again, and we see artists coming to shows and wife are at home. Time and time again, I see wives are part of the ministry, but the wife's at home. Understand taking care of the kids. Everyone takes care of kids. But you have to be out there with your husband in the ministry. If you're a first lady, what church service you see a first lady sitting at home? They there supporting, and guess what? Their family's in the building. So I think a lot of people need, as showing things as so-called power couple, and but I don't look as a power couple. I look at support system and being examples how husband and wife are supposed to be when you're doing ministry, support and doing things of God. Because if God gives me a vision, I'm the head. If she believes in me and believes what God called me to do, she needs to really, be a part of what I'm doing and embrace it and be there and support it. When I'm somewhere, take the spotlight when I'm not there. Take the forefront. So I think a lot of ministries need to be husband and wives, and when you're part of ministry, there's a support system. Of course, it goes both ways. Starting her PR system, building her up, sending things out, connecting with people. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of big people wouldn't connect with her at first. But it took my resume and what I do and the long list of things that I've done to say, she's a part of what I'm doing. Because of this is where I am. These are the achievements that I made. And a lot of these achievements occur because she's a part of that. So once they see that, they say, oh, she got a lot of power. Yes. Not only because she's my wife, that she's building something of her own what God called her to do. And we all come together, and of course it grows.
As we end this, I want you each to take just 3 words to describe your ministry. Just 3 words.
Wow, 3 words. Besides 3HP. I would say relevant, impactful, and, well, this is a Christian, God ordained. Those are my 3.
Okay. Relevant, impactful, God ordained.
Music, outreach, kingdom business.
Kingdom business, music, outreach. It's your boy MLiK, the powerhouse couple. Troy and Nate Edwards, 3HP. We're in the building. Back in the day, well, we out.
My God.